would you suggest the United States does better? I know this is a loaded question, but it's what can we do as a society, as a civil society, to do better, and not just with the Afghanistan situation, but in human understanding and relationships in general?
I would say three things. First and foremost, we really have to have an immersive experience. Like, we talk about so many issues, but we talk about them at the superficial level. Unless someone experiences, and that Jeff, you know this, sitting across from Dia Khan, until you had that experience of talking to her face to face and what feelings that surfaced in you, like until you have an immersive experience, nothing will change. People will not change, but they can change if they have an immersive experience. So what does that look like? I mean, there's so many great programs out there that are willing to offer that. It's a question of, are they going to get funded? Are they going to get visibility? The second thing is that it's just, it's really about local solutions, bringing local solutions into power. And we've seen that in Afghanistan, for example. So many people are wondering, what can I do? And as much as I and someone else tried to get people out, end of the day, we were at the mercy of, whether the flight can take off. But there are refugees coming to town, and there are local problems even beyond the refugee crisis. There's so many local issues where if we enact our ability as local change agents, we can actually make a difference. So what does that look like in the case of Afghanistan? It's, okay, there's refugees coming. What can we do to help them? Sure, they need X, Y, and Z materialistic goods to start their life over, but they also need to integrate into what it means to be American. Like, they're bringing their culture, their trauma, their tragedy, their perceptions of what is normal in with them across the threshold. It's not just their baggage. It's everything. It's their entire history. And so how can we integrate them through programs and through participation that really helps them acclimate to a new lifestyle here? The third thing is the power of language. Okay, so how are we talking about these issues? And it goes back to the idea that we cannot win the kinetic war, the war that goes tick, tick, boom, until we can win the ideological war. We can't win the ideological war unless we know what kind of ideology we're dealing with, until we know, like, what does it actually mean to be a part of this identity and to be a part of this group? Like, what are the drivers? And until we can understand that, we can't win the war on any front. And a lot of that has to do, it comes back to language. Like, how are we talking about these things? How are we orienting our understanding? And a really quick example I'll give you is how these two things tie in together, language and then also orientation in terms of the ideological war, is what you saw with the same day that Afghanistan withdrawal deadline hit. We had this issue in Texas with the Texas abortion law, right? And so I'm not talking about abortion itself, like that's up to every individual's however they want to talk about it, but I'm talking about the language around how we talk about this problem. And what you saw was people referring to it as American Taliban, Texas Sharia, and it's such a misnomer, because first and foremost, there is a world of difference between the Taliban and the lawmakers in the US. There is a world of difference between Sharia law and this specific abortion. And the fact is that not only did we monumentally balls up this withdrawal and this fight essentially for 20 years, but now we can't even get the terminology right about this problem here. Like, we can't even understand that there's a difference between this and this. And if we can't understand that, if we're going to be lazy and just dive into the cliche rhetoric that makes us feel like, we got one on somebody else, then we're never, ever going to be able to solve the problem as a human species. Like, that is so integral to everything, is A, the language, and then B, like really understanding, like, what is this ideology and what drives it.